Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of Colonial Sports Center. My name is Casey Irwine, and I'm joined by Brett Magulik. Brett, we just missed that one, but there's a lot of stuff that our fans at home has missed in Colonial Sports this week.
It's been a huge week here for Colonial Sports, so let's get right into it. So let's kick things off with a women's lacrosse team as they open their 2026 campaign on the road against George Mason last Friday. The Colonials started off hot, scoring their first goal on their first possession of the game. Mia Berthoff found the back of the net just 1 minute into the first half. Both teams went back and forth going into halftime tied at 6. And the third quarter was no different from the first two. George Mason would take the lead by 1, going up 8-7 heading into the fourth quarter. The Colonials would put up 3 unanswered in the fourth, but a late push by the Patriots sent the contest into overtime. Luckily, Julia Foley would save the day for the Colonials, scoring in overtime, starting off with the W. Colonials win 11-10.
Now moving on to the hardwood, the men's basketball team took a trip to Ohio to face the Youngstown State Penguins Saturday afternoon. The first half was anyone's game with 6 ties and 3 lead changes in the first 10 minutes until the Colonials broke away, leading 41-30 going into halftime. The second half was just as chaotic as the first, with both teams going on huge point runs, and Deshaun Good would sink the dagger, putting the Colonials up with 5 with 50 seconds left, and the Penguins could not recover. Colonials win 72-66.
Heading back to the UPMC Event Center, the women's basketball team took home a huge OT win against Milwaukee at home on Saturday night. The matchup was back and forth all game, but RMU would keep a narrow lead throughout most of the contest, until there was less than a minute on the clock where Milwaukee would tie the game at 57, sending it into overtime. Bailey Kuntz and Eva Livingston dominated for the Colonials in OT, outscoring the Panthers 14-7 in the extra period. Colonials win again, 71-64.
Lastly, the men's lacrosse team took a trip down to Richmond on Saturday to take on the Spiders in their second game of the season. They're looking to bounce back after a tough open loss to open the 2026 campaign to Johns Hopkins. The Colonials, however, would fall again, losing 17-7. Gavin Padone and Dylan Anderson would each score twice, while Owen Tapper and Conor Marichek would also find the back of the net. But that would not be enough to hold off Richmond as the Colonials start their season 0-2.
So that is what you missed since the last time we saw you here. But Casey, we got some breaking news.
Yes, we do, Brett, because the men's basketball team just finished up their game. This is a big matchup. The Colonials 3-4 in their last 4, they've won 3 of their last 4 games. The Colonials playing against the Cleveland State Vikings, who recently were coming off of a 5-win streak. So Brett, let's see what happened in this game, and you can see the Colonials take a big win here. The Colonials were 1-11 in their last 12 matchups against the Vikings, but this one was a blowout. Deshaun Good, another solid performance, putting him 14 points, but Ryan Prather Jr., 25 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Darius Livingston also had double digits, shot 3 of 13 from 3, though.
Absolutely. Ryan Prather Jr. had a fantastic game. All 3 of those guys had fantastic games, but especially Ryan Prather Jr. At the half, he had 7 points. And he just completely turned up the stardom. He really showed what it was like to be a Horizon League champion player, and he brought it home for the Colonials on this one.
Yeah, and Brett, like I've been saying, huge game in the Horizon League. Oakland just lost as well, and Brett, you're going to tell us about the standings.
Absolutely, yeah. We've been mentioning a lot, kind of teetering with it. This game has had some huge playoff implications. So let's take a look at the current bracket and what we will see if the season ended today. Now, the Horizon League has changed a few of their rules on how it will go. So we do have a play-in. The first matchup will be Youngstown State versus IUND in that play-in round, and they will take on the top-seeded Wright State. Then we have Oakland and Milwaukee. Green Bay will play Cleveland State, Purdue, Fort Wayne, and Northern Kentucky. And as it sits right now, the Colonials will play Detroit Mercy.
Yeah, and Brett, this is a team obviously trying to go back-to-back in the Horizon League, and they are teetering with having a first-round home game, and honestly, that's something they would love to have. It was huge last year whenever they played Wright State at home. It was the biggest sellout in Colonial's men's basketball history. And
never seen anything better, I think, than that game.
It is an unreal environment, and the Colonials want to bring March Madness back to this school, so we'll see how these standings play out in the next few weeks. But, Brett, let's move on to women's basketball, because the women's basketball team also played another game. They are also fighting for a better seeding in the playoffs, and they traveled to Youngstown, Ohio to play the Penguins. Let's see how they did in this one. The Penguins sit second in the Horizon League. We're going right to the end of the game because this was a crazy game. You can see here, it's just going to be back and forth all time, Brett, and that is a good three right there for the Colonials.
Absolutely. This game was back and forth the entire time. You kind of start to see the Colonials pull away here a little bit, but meanwhile, this is the fourth quarter. Going into half this game, RMU was up 24-18, and they outscored Youngstown State 18-12 in the third quarter. But as you can see, the Penguins are slowly starting to come back here. Right now, I mean, they're down a little bit, but as we've seen here recently, no lead is safe.
Yeah, and that's been an issue with the Colonials recently. Coach McCabe struggling to hold fourth quarter leads. You can see here under a minute yet left. Youngstown just keeps fighting for it, gets another bucket to go, and they get the ball again here. Last possession potentially of the game. Drives right to the rim. Doesn't go, but an offensive rebound, but a foul down low, and the Colonials just get beat under the rim.
That was a killer one there, Casey. As you can see, they're going to keep piling these points on. As you can see, it's not an issue with the scorebook here. The Colonials were held scoreless here in the final seconds when it really mattered up until this play where Bailey Koontz would put up a huge bucket to put up the Colonials up with 0.4 seconds left. But that's not it.
That's not it. What a catch. Alley-oop almost to tie the game right at the end there. And this game goes to overtime in the most dramatic fashion. That was quite 0.4 seconds. That's pretty much as close as you can push it to a catch-and-shoot situation.
What a play. That's Sophia Gregory of the Penguins. She had 16 rebounds this game and a huge one there. That put this game into overtime.
Yeah, and Brett, the Colonials, they're just going to keep trying to fight, but they are going to struggle. Youngstown is going to keep just driving towards the rim, and it's going to keep working.
Yeah, they dominated here in overtime. The Colonials were outscored 16-9 in overtime. It was complete, utter domination by the Penguins. Colonials had no fight left. As you can see, that block there, and that would seal the deal. Colonials go down in an absolute heartbreaker in this one.
Yeah, especially with the way regulation ended, and then I think they just had to get it pulled off there because they were so tired, and you could see that every time Youngstown drove to the rim.
Absolutely, but you know, we've seen this. This was a rough game for the Colonials, but honestly, it's been a rough week here for the Colonials. They've had a couple heartbreakers, a couple really close calls. Let's take a look and see how the week has gone for the Colonials. To start here, as we can see, go back into the Green Bay game. This is actually an honorable mention for those weekly CSC watchers at home. Top 5 plays honorable mention here to end off this game against Green Bay here. Just another absolute heartbreaker. Cami Pepler threw back a huge shot to end this game. 1.7 seconds left. Looked like it was going into overtime, but nope. Colonials go home packing.
Yeah, and when you have a chance to take down Green Bay, you have to take it, and they just couldn't.
Yeah, they had this game, and as we move on here to Milwaukee, they blew a 15-point first quarter lead in this one. Luckily, they would rally. They would get the overtime win in this one, but you know, this has been a problem recently, especially this past week of this team just not being able to hold leads.
Yeah, and especially for a team that's fighting to have better seeding in the playoffs and make it Indianapolis and maybe challenge for a Horizon League championship. This is the most important part of the game, getting down to the nitty-gritty and just holding on to the lead, staying focused. If you can't stay focused when it really matters and hold on to your leads, and this team can't go anywhere.
Especially, we're at the time right now where we are starting to look at brackets. We are starting to look at playoffs. This is the time where you need to be fully on your game, and they're just not on it right now.
Yeah, Brett, that is for sure. But we're on it here at Colonial Sports Center. And coming up after this, we take to the ice for some hockey. And, of course, later in the show, we're going to have our top 5 plays. So stick around right here on Colonial Sports Center.
The death of George Floyd, who died in police custody Monday night, Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation. It's going to take more than just us, you know, as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to help us make a change, because it just can't be us.
Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Now, Brett, in just a little bit, we're going to have a big interview with one of the women's hockey stars of the team. But first, we got to cover some of their games.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's kick things off with the women's hockey team here, as coming off of a rough weekend at Penn State. A rough one, but a fun one. They got to go home and play host to the Delaware Blue Hens, the 2-28 Delaware Blue Hens. Let's take a look and see how they did in their home series. As you can see, swept the Blue Hens here. Huge 3-2 win, as well as a 6-0 win. This game in the first one was tied up going into the third period. RMU would find two quick ones to go into the back of the net, and they just had a huge game here. Coming off that rough weekend, to get a nice win back was a good one. Now, let's go over to game two here. Absolute domination by the Colonials. Gianpietro 2 goals. Goding with a goal and an assist. McKinnon with 4 assists. Giannone with a goal and an assist. So 4 players all had multi-point games. Hannah Thornton actually had her first collegiate point in this game. So huge game here, huge series here for the Colonials to get the vibes back up, you know, going into the finale series of the regular season against Lindenwood.
Yeah, that's for sure, Brett. Big win there and big couple games, but it was a big couple games for the Schooley family,
Absolutely.
of course. Coach Derek Schooley, the head coach of the women's hockey team, but for the family, this was the Schooley show for our Robert Morris versus Delaware. You can see here we had Taylor Schooley for Delaware, 2 shots and a block versus RMU, 27 blocks this season. She's a defenseman for Delaware. Then, of course, Derek Schooley, who has the most wins in program history for the Colonials, and his other daughter, Caitlin, on the Colonials, another defenseman, junior defenseman for RMU. She scored her second career goal, so that had to be bitter taste in the mouth for Taylor watching her sister score while she didn't. And by the way, what a goal it was. You're going to see it a little bit later in this show, by the way. So
absolutely. It's been a crazy week here for the Colonials, especially for the Schoolies. You know, it's been a really fun one.
Yeah, for sure, Brett. But Brett, like I said, big interview right now, isn't that right?
Absolutely, but before we go over to the interview, the Schoolies tussled it up a little bit here in their game over this past weekend. Let's take a look and see what the Schoolies did here. They may not have been obviously Caitlin had the goal, but as you can see, the tussle, little sisterly love here, as you can see. Maybe heading over to the Valentine's Day a little bit early, you know, getting that sisterly love in here, but you know, hopefully in some good fun. You know, this was a fun series, a fun weekend, and great to see the Schoolies having fun with each other.
Yeah, of course, Brett. But now, like I said, big-time interview with the goaltender for the Colonials.
Absolutely. Josh Woodman sits down with Maggie Hatch to talk over what the rest of the season looks like, as well as a big Penn State weekend. Take it away, Josh.
Thanks, guys. Today I'm joined by RMU women's hockey goaltender Maggie Hatch to talk a little bit about the season so far. Maggie, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm excited to talk some puck. So, just getting right into it. You're 3 points behind Lindenwood, 4 behind Syracuse. What is the mentality of the team right now heading into these final 2 pivotal matchups in the season?
I think for us, a lot of it is focusing on Friday night, starting with the first game of the season, or first game of the weekend, and going from there. Obviously, it's a huge weekend for us, but honestly, we kind of have nothing to lose. there's a lot of excitement surrounding this weekend. A lot of it for us being Friday night being the teddy bear toss, Saturday being senior night. So it's a lot of just like kind of enjoying the moment, embracing the pressure, but not letting it kind of overtake us. So I don't know, there's a lot of excitement, really more so than pressure being on us to kind of climb out of where we are. As you can see, like our league is so close that it can be anybody's game on any night. So it's just making sure that we feel good and coming together as a team for kind of something that's bigger than us this weekend.
Yeah, and you mentioned the teddy bear toss game. What's that like to play? I just can't imagine being able to play in something like that and just out of nowhere after the first goal, just the rain of it coming down. What's that like? What's that environment like?
It's a fun environment for sure. It's exciting because you never know when it's going to happen, and then all of a sudden you kind of get like 10-minute break and you're skating around cleaning up teddy bears on the ice. So it's definitely a unique experience. But we've had our fair share of those this season, which has been pretty exciting for us. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. It does put pressure on scoring that first goal, but kind of once you get that first goal, then you just start rolling from there.
How much of the focus in playoffs this year is trying to just make a run, put together just a couple good performances and being able to really try to get past that first round?
There's definitely a lot of emphasis on that. Of again, like the other mindset that we've had going on is treating each game like it's a playoff game. For the past few weekends, we've really looked at, especially this past weekend against Delaware, that was a playoff weekend for us. If we didn't take 6 points from there, then we would have lost all chances of moving up higher. So it's the same thing that goes for this weekend. Is we're going to treat these games like a playoff weekend and start stacking the playoffs early on. So it's as if we've kind of already made it past that first round, or we've achieved some of the goals that we really want going forward into playoffs, and then it just comes naturally from there.
Yeah, and just to focus a little bit more about you and your season, just to start off with, that A on the chest right there is something new. What has that meant to you to be able, I know not a lot of goaltenders get that privilege to be able to be an associate captain. What does that mean for you to be able to wear that?
It definitely means a ton. There's a lot of pride from this program, and it's really an honor to represent the team and the program. And it's something that I definitely don't take for granted. Before I get dressed every day, like I take a look at my jersey, especially before every game. I take a look at my jersey, I take a look at the logo, and I take a look at the A, and know that I'm playing something for more than myself. And one of the best parts about it is I get to do it alongside some of my best friends, with someone that I've grown up playing with and known for a long time. Elena Gianpietro she's wearing the C, and so that's something that is another great honor for me, to be alongside her and Kat and Talia as well.
Yeah, and so we got this photo when we were up at Penn State watching you guys play. Just talk a little bit about that environment, being able to play in that outdoor game. What was that like for you?
It was so much fun, and I've said that confidently to anybody that's asked me. That was definitely one of the more fun games that I've ever played. It was a very unique experience, and going up against one of the top teams in the country as well. So it was kind of just going out there and proving who we were. We knew the outcome might not have been in our favor, but just proving who we were, making a statement, and having so much fun. Like, we were kind of all in it together, and embracing the opportunity, and it was a really unique experience.
Well, Maggie, thank you so much for joining us. I've loved having this conversation. Good luck this weekend. I'm going to send it back to the guys at the desk.
Thank you.
Thank you,
there's
Maggie
the preview of the teddy bear
I'm
toss.
excited for the teddy bear toss. I had to toss a little teddy right there myself.
Absolutely. Let's switch things up a little bit. Let's over to the men's hockey team as they took on Canisius recently. So let's take a look at how they did in this matchup against them. And honestly, this team had a great weekend, as the goals of these games are playing on your screen right now. But 2 huge wins, 1-0 win as well as a 6-4 win. Charlie Schenkel had his first career shutout in that first game. They're also playing against their leading goal scorer last year, Walter Zacher, who they actually held only to 1 goal in this entire series. So the vibes are high right now for this Colonials team. As you can see, Dominic Elliott had a great goal there, and he was celebrating. So he has been amazing. He won the AHA Defensive Player of the Week this week. So the Colonials vibes are high right now.
Yeah, for sure, especially when you can hold a former teammate who was a great forward for you to only one goal. And, you know, whenever you play against someone, it's high emotions, but you hope they have a stinker. And so when you can hold a friend and brag in their face, it's a good feeling.
Bragging rights are always fun, but this series was not only for bragging rights. This series was also very critical when it came to seeding. Since the Colonial swept them, that means they jump in the standings. They're 4th place currently in AHA, tied with Sacred Heart. So that's huge for the Colonials here.
Yeah, for sure, and it's going to be a tight race. A lot of Colonials teams really fighting for good seeds and better and to be into playoffs, Brett.
Absolutely. Well, this is we're wrapping up the fall season right now, but spring is just around the corner, and whenever we come back on Colonial Sports Center, we got the full coverage of the spring season.
When you adopt a shelter pet, you discover their unique mix of all kinds of traits.
Where'd Wiley go? Where's Wiley? Ah, there she is. Paw?
Do you remember being an ancient wolf? Do you ever feel the call of the wild?
You're a renegade cop, and I'm a con woman with nothing to prove. But together, we could really solve this murder.
They're a little bit of a lot of things, but all of them are pure love.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. But Brett had a little bit of a heat wave a couple days ago, and so you got some nice coverage for the spring, right?
Absolutely. This has been a fun one to start. I mean, we're starting to get back into the heat wave, but, you know, it's been kind of going back. It's been a little bit weird, but Joey Dramasic has the entire coverage for us. Take it away, Joey.
Hello, I'm Joey Dramasic, and even though Punxsutawney Phil said there will be 6 more weeks of winter with snow being still on the ground, the RMU spring sports are back in action as soon as tomorrow. So let's take a look at how some of the spring teams have done so far and what they have in store. Starting with women's lacrosse, the team whose season ended in MAC Championship heartbreak last year is back, starting off their 2026 campaign with a dramatic win over George Mason. The 11-10 victory over the Patriots is the first time the Colonials have won their opening game in consecutive seasons since 2013-2014. And third-year head coach Courtney Grove will hope to have her team clicking on all cylinders as they return to Joe Walton Stadium for the first time since losing to Akron in the MAC Championship last May. The Colonials are scheduled to take on the Canisius Golden Griffins at home at 4 p.m. on Friday. Staying on the turf, the men's lacrosse team is looking to find their feet after consecutive losses to open up their season. While the team is riding high of an NEC championship last summer, the team is yet to stabilize themselves ahead of a defense of their title. After opening the season against number 15 Johns Hopkins, the Colonials found themselves up against a higher-ranked opponent in Richmond. Their performance was slightly better, but still the team lost convincingly to the 9th-ranked Spiders 7-17. They'll make their homecoming as a part of a doubleheader with the women's team on Friday at 1 p.m. And now finally, maybe the most explosive of last season's 5 Colonial champions are making their long-awaited return to action. The RMU softball team will finally return to the diamond at 10 a.m. tomorrow in the Winthrop Invite against Kent State. While notable faces like Steel Queen Alana Kusajani and Anna Resnick are gone, the home run hitting machine of Courtney Pulich and Mary Brandt are back. And with other additions to the coaching staff and roster like former freshman of the year, Aglalia Rudd, the Colonials are sure to be a big threat again in the Horizon League, the conference which already voted them as preseason favorites to retain their crown. And even though the spring sports are returning tomorrow to campus, you'll still want to bundle up because even though the title is spring, we're still in winter with snow and cold temperatures expected. I'm George Dramasic. Back to the desk.
Thanks, Joey. I don't know about you, Casey. I'm so excited for softball.
Yeah, man, like Joey said, maybe the most explosive team out of all the champions last season. That includes the men's basketball team, which was the high-flying winners of the Horizon League and almost beat Alabama.
But let's not skip over the lacrosse teams. We're talking about both playoff teams here. Let's see if maybe they will be able to kind of pick things up a little bit and continue going on and maybe make their way back into the Horizon League Championship. But when we come back, Casey, top 5 plays.
Yes, Brett, yes it is. So stick around here for top 5 plays when we come back on Colonial Sports Center.
Colonial Sports Center. Let's see it, Steve. Women's basketball. Found my heart out there in the open. Trees make you feel smaller. Can't help but get lost again. If I need a break, know where I'm going. Where the water's flowing, I'd rather be floating. If it's something that can count on to be free. Feel the beat of nature at a park or forest near you. Find a forest and music inspired by nature at discovertheforest.org.
Welcome back to Colonial Sports Center. Brett, are you feeling fly?
I'm feeling very fly. I'm feeling really fly.
I'm feeling kind of fly. And I think we should fly right into our top 5 plays of the week. Let's get right into this one, Brett.
Kicking things off here at number 5. We're going to make our way to Youngstown. Jada Lee is going to carry up at the point out of Miriam Trayor. Bailey Coons with a huge bucket for the Colonials. Go up 2.4 seconds left in the game. Fortunately, what happened after this one may not have been so top 5 play worthy, but you know, that one deserves a mention.
Yeah, the less you say about what happened after, the better. But moving on to number 4. Already we've got lacrosse clips. It's men's lacrosse, and look at Gavin Padone go. Runs all the way down the field for the solo goal. Almost the lacrosse version of Ankara Messi. Ankara Messi just sprinted right through everyone.
Punxsutawney Phil may have said 6 more weeks of winter. I'm choosing not to listen to it. Let's go to number 3. We are going to go to the ice, however. George Kratoris is going to carry up the ice. Almost a breakaway here. That shot is going to be pushed away. McDonald with a shot. That shot is going to go away, and that is Dominic Elliott. He shoots and he scores. What a celly by him. What a goal. Tie game between Canisius and the Colonials.
Yeah, now on to number 2. We're going to stick with hockey. It's women's hockey. This one's going to be floating around after Caitlin Schooley took a shot. It's going to fall back to her, though. She takes 1-2 touch and just fires a wrister right into the top corner. What precise placement on that one. Oh, my goodness. Absolute precision. She practiced that for hours.
Our number 1 play of the week, lacrosse versus George Mason. That is Julia Foley. She shoots and she scores. Colonials win in overtime. What a way to start the year for this team.
Yeah, a little underhand scoop to sneak it in. But Brett, before we go, we got to sneak in our games to watch.
Absolutely. Let's kick it right into games to watch. For my game to watch this week, we're going to go to, how could it not be, let's go to women's hockey tomorrow night versus Lindenwood. This is the finale of the season. Also, had to choose this one here tomorrow night. Teddy bear toss. Jessica McKinnon is going to be the player for the Colonials. She has been the AHA forward of the week for the Lindenwood Lions. It's going to be Zofia Pazmandi. She is tied for first in points on the team, 26 points on the team, also on a tear.
All right, now on to my game. It's going to be men's basketball against Oakland. Like we said earlier, big game in the standings. Oakland sits second, but just lost, and the Colonials took home a win. So this is a big one. These teams played earlier in the season. RMU lost by 23, but watch out for Deshaun Good, who's been so good and is coming off a Horizon League Player of the Week. And for Oakland, watch out for Isaac Garrett. He's second on the team in scoring, and he grabs a lot of rebounds, and that is big trouble for the Colonials down low.
Two huge games for both those teams. Make sure you tune into both of those. But we got a bunch more stuff going on this weekend, so make sure you tune in next week for all of that coverage. We will see you then.